The mining colony of New Horizon wasn't supposed to be humanity's first point of alien contact. Carved into the rocky surface of Ganymede, Jupiter's largest moon, it was just another industrial outpost pushing the boundaries of human expansion. But fate rarely consulted humanity's plans. Maya Patel was completing her routine check of the colony's external sensor array when the first anomalies appeared. The sophisticated detection system, designed to warn of incoming solar radiation and space debris, began registering unusual gravitational distortions at the edge of Jupiter's orbital sphere. "Control, this is external tech, Patel," she reported, her dark eyes fixed on the readings. "I'm picking up some bizarre fluctuations out here. Nothing in our database matches the pattern." Before Control could respond, space itself seemed to tear open. A massive vessel, unlike anything human engineers had ever conceived, erupted into normal space. Its hull appeared to be made of overlapping plates that shifted and moved like the scales of some cosmic serpent, glowing with an inner light that pulsed in irregular patterns. The vessel was damaged. Even to human eyes, that much was clear. Portions of its hull were dark and lifeless, and its trajectory was erratic. It was also, Maya realized with growing concern, headed directly toward the colony. Colony-wide alarms began blaring as the vessel approached. Security Chief Victor Rosenberg's voice echoed through every compartment. "All personnel to emergency stations. This is not a drill. I repeat, this is not a drill." In the colony's command center, Director Hannah Chen watched the approaching ship with a mixture of awe and apprehension. 20 years of experience managing deep space operations hadn't prepared her for this moment. "Get me a channel to Earth Command," she ordered. "And someone tell me why our automated defense systems haven't activated." "Ma'am," Lieutenant Sarah Cooper responded from her communications station. "The vessel, it's broadcasting. All frequencies, multiple formats. It's like they're trying every possible method of communication simultaneously." Before Chen could respond, the alien transmission resolved itself into comprehensible audio, the ship's AI translating mathematical patterns into human speech. "Please, sanctuary, they follow. Destruction incarnate. Help us. We bring knowledge, technology, anything. Please." The desperate plea was interrupted by new alerts. 3 more spatial distortions were forming, larger than the first. From these emerged vessels that seemed to be carved from single pieces of obsidian, their surfaces absorbing light rather than reflecting it. They moved with predatory grace, weapons already charging. 4 minutes until the first ship reaches our defense perimeter," Cooper announced. "The pursuing vessels are accelerating. They'll intercept in 6 minutes." Director Chen faced the hardest decision of her career. The colony's defenses were designed to handle pirates and rogue asteroids, not an alien war. Protocol demanded she protect her people at all costs. But if she turned away these refugees, she'd be turning her back on everything humanity stood for. "Get me a channel to the lead vessel," Chen ordered. As her staff scrambled to comply, she activated the colony's emergency protocols. "All civilians to shelter zones. Security teams to battle stations. Engineering, I want every scrap of power you can give to our shields." The alien vessel's response came in pulses of light and sound that the colony's AI struggled to translate. "We are the luminary. We fled across 12,000 light years. They are the void hunters. They consume all they touch. Please, we have nowhere else to go." Chen's jaw set with determination. Humanity had clawed its way into space through sheer stubborn determination, surviving everything their harsh world had thrown at them. They hadn't come this far to cower now. "Luminary vessel, this is Director Hannah Chen of New Horizon Colony. You are hereby granted emergency sanctuary under Article 7 of the Human Space Charter." She turned to her staff. "Launch our defense drones. Position them between the luminary ship and their pursuers. Lieutenant Cooper, get me Earth Command. Tell them." She allowed herself a grim smile. "Tell them humanity just picked a side in an interstellar war." As the colony's modest defense fleet moved into position, Chen couldn't help but think about the irony. Humans had always imagined first contact would be a carefully orchestrated diplomatic event. Instead, they were about to introduce themselves to the galaxy by standing up to bullies. Somehow, that seemed fitting. The Void Hunter's initial communication was not a demand for surrender or even a threat. It was simply a statement, cold and absolute. The quarry belongs to us. Interfere, and you will be eliminated. Funny thing about humans, Chen responded, her voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. We don't respond well to threats. Cooper, signal Earth Command. Tell them to send everything they've got. In the meantime, she watched as the Obsidian ships drew closer. Let's show these Void Hunters why picking a fight near Jupiter was their second mistake. Their first was thinking we'd stand by and watch them hunt down refugees. The battle that would follow would change humanity's destiny forever, marking their dramatic entrance onto the galactic stage not as explorers or diplomats, but as defenders of the defenseless. New Horizon Colony, a simple mining outpost, was about to become the first chapter in humanity's interstellar legacy. The next 12 hours aboard New Horizon Colony were a blur of frenzied activity. The initial skirmish had ended in a stalemate, with the Void Hunters pulling back to the outer reaches of Jupiter's gravity well. It wasn't a retreat, Director Chen knew, but a tactical pause. They were regrouping, likely calling for reinforcements. In the colony's newly established Alien Liaison Center, Maya Patel found herself face-to-face with something she'd never imagined possible. The luminary representative, who had taken the name Aurora, existed as a shifting pattern of light and energy, contained within a specially modified chamber. The beam's voice came as synchronized pulses of light that the colony's AI translated. We did not expect compassion, Aurora communicated, their form rippling with what Maya interpreted as emotion. Most species flee when the Void Hunters appear. None have ever stood to fight. Maya adjusted the electromagnetic field parameters, helping Aurora maintain their coherent form. Maybe that's why they've been so successful until now. But humans, we have a bit of a history with bullies. We don't like them very much. The conversation was interrupted by Security Chief Rosenberg's arrival. His usually stern features were set in an expression of grim determination. The Luminary's ship provided their tactical data on the Void Hunters. It's not good. The holographic display filled with images that made Maya's blood run cold. Worlds reduced to lifeless husks, entire civilizations erased. The Void Hunters didn't just conquer, they consumed. Their Obsidian ships broke down everything they encountered, converting matter and energy into more of themselves. They are entropy given purpose, Aurora explained, their light dimming. They seek to impose absolute order by reducing all things to their most basic components. We Luminary thought our energy-based technology would protect us. We were wrong. Rosenberg studied the tactical data with professional interest. Their ships absorb energy weapons. Conventional explosives barely scratch them, and they can reformat matter at the atomic level. No wonder no one's been able to stop them. He paused, a thoughtful look crossing his face. But they've never encountered humans before. In the colony's engineering section, Director Chen was having a similar conversation with Dr. James Wilson, their chief scientist. The aging engineer had been pulling apart the sensor data from their brief engagement with religious fervor. Their technology is incredible, Wilson explained, excitement overwhelming his exhaustion. But it's also predictable. The Void Hunters operate on absolute mathematical precision. Every action, every attack follows perfect geometric patterns. Chen raised an eyebrow. And that helps us how? Because humans are anything but predictable, Wilson grinned. We're chaos incarnate compared to these beings. Our neural networks, our decision-making processes, even our technology. It's all based on adaptation and irregularity. We thrive on imperfection. Before Chen could respond, Lieutenant Cooper's voice came over the comm. Director, we're receiving transmissions from Earth Command. The first reinforcement fleet will arrive in 6 hours. And you're going to want to see this. The tactical display showed dozens of ships responding to New Horizons' call. Not just military vessels, but mining ships, research vessels, even civilian transports retrofitted with weapons. Humanity was rallying. In the medical bay, Dr. Sarah Chen, no relation to the director, made another breakthrough. She'd been studying the medical data provided by the Luminary, comparing it to the Void Hunters' attack patterns. Their weakness isn't in their technology, she announced to the gathered staff. It's in their mindset. They can't comprehend anything that doesn't follow their rules of perfect order. It literally doesn't compute for them. Maya, who had joined the briefing, leaned forward. So we don't need better weapons. We need to be more human, more chaotic, more ourselves. The next few hours were a whirlwind of preparation. Engineers modified mining lasers to fire in random patterns. Combat drones were reprogrammed to move erratically rather than efficiently. Even the colony's defense shields were adjusted to fluctuate randomly rather than maintain steady power levels. Through it all, Aurora watched with growing fascination. Your people, you adapt so quickly. You take what others would see as weaknesses and turn them into strengths. How? That's just what humans do, Maya replied, helping to calibrate another set of modified weapons. Earth isn't a gentle world. We evolved facing constant change, constant challenges. Being predictable meant being dead, so we learned to be unpredictable. In the command center, Director Chen received the final reports. The Void Hunters had indeed called for reinforcements. Dozens of their obsidian ships were approaching, but humanity's fleet was also arriving, a motley collection of vessels united by a common purpose. They think they can predict every outcome. Chen addressed her staff. They think they can calculate every possibility. Let's show them why fighting humans means throwing out the rulebook. Lieutenant Cooper, signal all ships. Operation Chaos begins in 30 minutes. As the colony hummed with activity, Maya made one final adjustment to Aurora's containment field. I don't understand, the Luminary admitted. Your people know the odds. You've seen what the Void Hunters can do. Yet you prepare for battle with excitement. Maya smiled. That's another human trait. We don't just face impossible odds. We enjoy proving them wrong. The battle that approached would test that confidence to its limits. But as humanity prepared to defend their new allies, they were about to demonstrate why being unpredictable, adaptable, and just a little bit crazy could be the greatest strength of all. Operation Chaos began not with a coordinated attack, but with what appeared to be a complete systems failure across New Horizons' defensive grid. Shields flickered erratically, weapon systems powered up and down in random sequences, and communication channels filled with static and random data bursts. To the approaching Void Hunter fleet, it must have looked like their prey was experiencing a catastrophic breakdown. Their obsidian ships moved forward in perfect formation, mathematical precision guiding every movement. They never suspected it was all deliberate. They're taking the bait, Lieutenant Cooper reported from her station. Their formation is tightening, exactly as Dr. Wilson predicted. Director Chen watched the tactical display, where dozens of black ships moved like pieces on a geometric chessboard. Send the signal to the mining ships. Let's see how these perfect beings handle a little debris field. What followed would later be dubbed the butterfly effect gambit by military historians. A dozen retrofitted mining vessels, hidden in Jupiter's complex magnetic field, activated their modified mining beams, not to attack the Void Hunters directly, but to shatter several nearby asteroids into thousands of fragments. In perfect order, such debris would have been easy for the Void Hunters to avoid or destroy. But these fragments had been specifically charged with electromagnetic pulses, causing them to bounce and ricochet in completely random patterns. The obsidian ship's predictive algorithms failed spectacularly. Their formations are breaking, Rosenberg announced, unable to hide his satisfaction. They're trying to establish new attack patterns, but the debris field is forcing them to move individually. That was when the real attack began. Earth's ships emerged from behind Jupiter's larger moons, their movements deliberately erratic. They'd been practicing these maneuvers for hours, flying in ways that defied tactical logic, attacking from angles that no sane military strategist would choose. In the Alien Liaison Center, Maya and Aurora watched the battle unfold. The luminary's light pulsed with what seemed like disbelief. "Your ships," Aurora communicated, "they move like damaged vessels, like they're out of control. But it's coordinated chaos. How can your pilots even function like this?" Maya grinned. "You should see how we drive cars back on Earth. This is actually pretty tame in comparison." The Void Hunters' response to the human attack was revealing. Their ships attempted to maintain geometric patterns, even as they were forced to dodge the random debris, their weapons firing in predictable sequences that the human ships' now irregular shields could better absorb. "They can't adapt," Dr. Wilson observed from his station. "Their entire combat doctrine is based on mathematical perfection. Throw enough chaos into the system, and their responses become limited." But the Void Hunters weren't defeated yet. Their ships began to coordinate, attempting to establish new patterns that could account for the debris field. That's when Chen ordered the next phase of Operation Chaos. "Release the drones," she commanded. "Full random protocols." Hundreds of small drones, originally designed for asteroid mining and station repair, swarmed out from the colony and the human ships. Each one was programmed with a simple directive: be unpredictable. They spun, tumbled, and zigzagged through space, their movements based on random number generators seeded with atmospheric noise from Jupiter itself. The effect on the Void Hunters was immediate and dramatic. Their perfect formations completely collapsed as they tried to track hundreds of potential threats moving in ways their predictive systems couldn't handle. "This is incredible," Cooper reported, watching the sensor data. "Their targeting efficiency has dropped by over 70%. They're actually shooting at their own ships because they can't distinguish random movement from actual attacks." In the midst of this chaos, humanity's ships pressed their advantage. The irregular shield modulations that Dr. Wilson had developed proved effective against the Void Hunters' matter conversion weapons. Human weapons, firing in deliberately random patterns, found weak points in the Obsidian ship's otherwise impenetrable defenses. "It's working," Rosenberg stated with quiet amazement. "They literally can't cope with randomness at this scale. Their entire technology is based on perfect order, and we're drowning them in chaos." But victory wasn't assured yet. Even in disarray, the Void Hunters were tremendously powerful. Several human ships had already been damaged or destroyed, their crews fighting to the last with the unpredictable courage that was becoming humanity's hallmark. "Director," Cooper called out suddenly, "we're detecting massive energy buildups in the remaining Void Hunter ships. They're synchronizing." Chen's eyes narrowed. "They're adapting, not to match our chaos, but to try and impose their order on a larger scale." She opened a channel to all human ships. "All vessels, prepare for Phase 3. Let's show them what happens when you try to impose order on humanity." As the Void Hunters began their coordinated counterattack, humanity prepared to demonstrate that they had barely begun to scratch the surface of their capacity for controlled chaos. The battle was about to enter its most crucial phase, and the fate of both New Horizon and the luminary refugees hung in the balance. Maya looked at Aurora's pulsing form. "You know what humans say about chaos theory. A butterfly flapping its wings can cause a hurricane. Well, we're about to create one hell of a storm." The synchronized energy buildup from the Void Hunter ships reached its crescendo. Space itself seemed to warp as dozens of Obsidian vessels channeled their power into a single, overwhelming attack. Their strategy was clear. If they couldn't predict and counter human chaos, they would simply overwhelm it with sheer, overwhelming force. "All ships, execute emergency pattern Delta." Director Chen's voice cut through the tension. In response, the human fleet scattered like startled fish, each vessel following randomized escape vectors calculated by their AIs. The timing was perfect, or rather, perfectly imperfect. The Void Hunters' combined energy blast carved through space where the human fleet had been moments before, a lance of pure order that would have converted everything in its path to crystalline perfection. Instead, it continued unimpeded until it struck Jupiter's upper atmosphere, creating a spectacular reaction that no one had predicted, not even Dr. Wilson. The electromagnetic interference from Jupiter is amplifying the energy discharge, he reported, his eyes wide as he studied the readings. It's creating a cascade effect in the planet's magnetic field. The massive gas giant's already complex magnetosphere began to twist and writhe, generating massive electromagnetic storms that dwarfed anything in human records. The Void Hunter's perfect attack had inadvertently awakened a chaos that even humanity hadn't planned for. "Their ships," Cooper called out. "The electromagnetic distortions are interfering with their formation-keeping systems. They can't maintain their synchronized state." In the Alien Liaison Center, Aurora's light pattern fluctuated wildly. This is beyond chaos. It is pure entropy given form. How can your ships even function in such conditions? Maya smiled grimly as she worked to stabilize the luminary's containment field. Earth's magnetic field might be smaller, but it's just as turbulent. Every human ship is hardened against electromagnetic interference. It's not pretty, but we can handle it. She was right. While the Void Hunter's perfect formations crumbled in the face of Jupiter's electromagnetic maelstrom, the human fleet was already adapting. Ships rolled with the magnetic waves like surfers riding a tsunami, using the planet's chaos to their advantage. "Now," Chen ordered, "all ships, commence Operation Butterfly." It was humanity's masterstroke. As the Void Hunters struggled to maintain their order in the face of Jupiter's chaos, the human fleet launched their final attack. But instead of conventional weapons, they deployed thousands of specially modified probes, each one designed to emit a unique frequency of electromagnetic noise. The principle is simple, Dr. Wilson had explained during the planning phase. In a complex system, tiny variations can lead to massive changes. We're not trying to overpower their shields. We're trying to introduce so many small variables that their entire system breaks down. The effect was devastating. The Void Hunter's perfectly ordered technology, already strained by Jupiter's magnetic disturbance, began to fail under the assault of countless minor perturbations. Their obsidian ships started to show cracks, not from physical damage, but from the accumulation of countless tiny errors in their matter organization systems. "It's working," Cooper exclaimed. "Their hull integrity is failing. They can't maintain their molecular cohesion under this level of electromagnetic chaos." But victory came with a price. Several human ships, caught in particularly violent magnetic storms, had suffered critical damage. The colony's shields were starting to buckle under the strain of the electromagnetic interference. Even their modified systems had limits. In the command center, Director Chen watched as the battle reached its breaking point. The remaining Void Hunter ships were beginning to break apart, their perfect crystalline structures unable to cope with the overwhelming disorder. But more human ships were reporting critical damage by the minute. "We can't maintain this level of chaos much longer," Rosenberg warned. "Our own systems are starting to fail." Chen's response was cut off by an urgent transmission from the luminary vessel. Aurora's translated voice carried a note of desperate hope. "We can help. Our energy form technology. We can use it to stabilize the magnetic fields. But we need your colony's power grid. All of it." It was a massive risk. Shutting down the colony's power grid would leave them completely vulnerable. If the plan failed, they would have no defense against either the Void Hunters or Jupiter's electromagnetic storm. "How long do you need?" Chen asked. "Minutes, perhaps less. We have never attempted anything like this, but we have seen how humans embrace chaos. Perhaps it is time we learn to do the same." Chen looked at her tactical display. More Void Hunter ships were disintegrating, but the electromagnetic storm was growing beyond anyone's predictions. They were running out of options. "Do it," she ordered. "Cooper, signal all ships to pull back to minimum safe distance. Dr. Wilson, begin power grid shutdown. Maya, help Aurora with whatever they need." She took a deep breath. It's time to see if our new allies can be as adaptable as we are. As New Horizons' lights dimmed and its shields failed, the Luminary prepared to demonstrate that humanity's influence had already begun to change them in unexpected ways. The battle's outcome would depend not just on human chaos, but on their allies' ability to embrace it. As New Horizon colony's power grid went dark, the Luminary vessel began to pulse with unprecedented intensity. Aurora's consciousness merged with their ship's systems, channeling energy in ways their species had never attempted before. They were about to combine their natural affinity for energy manipulation with something they'd learned from humans, the power of controlled chaos. Energy transfer beginning, Maya reported from the backup systems. The Luminary they're not just channeling power, they're modulating it in random patterns. They're copying our tactics. Through the viewport, the scene was spectacular. The Luminary vessel's hull had become completely transparent, revealing the pure energy form within. Tendrils of light reached out, not in their usual perfect geometric patterns, but in wild, unpredictable waves that somehow matched the chaos of Jupiter's magnetic storm. Remarkable, Dr. Wilson breathed, watching his instruments. They're not fighting the chaos. They're amplifying it, but in a controlled way. They're creating a feedback loop that's actually stabilizing the electromagnetic disturbances. The effect spread outward like ripples in a pond, but ripples that followed no predictable pattern. Where the Luminary energy met Jupiter's magnetic storms, the chaos didn't increase. Instead, it formed into something new, a hybrid of order and disorder that defied conventional physics. The remaining Void Hunter ships found themselves caught in this transformed space. Their perfect crystalline structures, already strained by the previous assault, began to change. The obsidian surfaces started to shimmer with traces of light, order, and chaos dancing across their hulls. "Director," Cooper called out, her voice filled with wonder. "The Void Hunters. Their ships are trying to adapt, but not in the way they usually do. They're evolving." Through the communication channels came sounds never before heard from the Void Hunters. Expressions of confusion, of revelation, of transformation. Their rigid mathematical language began to shift, incorporating elements of uncertainty and possibility. They're experiencing chaos for the first time. Aurora's voice came through, strained but triumphant. Not as an enemy to be conquered, but as a force that can coexist with order. They're beginning to understand. The battle came to an end not with destruction, but with transformation. The surviving Void Hunter ships hung in space, their once perfect crystalline forms now rippling with waves of light and shadow. Their final transmission came not as a mathematical equation, but as something far more profound. "We understand now. Perfection is not the absence of chaos, but the harmony between order and disorder. We have much to learn." As power returned to New Horizon colony, the full impact of what had occurred began to sink in. Humanity's first major interstellar conflict had ended not in victory through superior firepower, but in transformation through the sharing of perspectives. They had taught the Luminary to embrace chaos, and together they had shown the Void Hunters that the universe was large enough for both order and disorder. In the days that followed, as repair crews worked to restore damaged systems and healing pods tended to the injured, new possibilities emerged. The Luminary, inspired by humanity's adaptability, began experimenting with new forms of their energy technology, forms that incorporated controlled randomness for greater efficiency. The reformed Void Hunters, their worldview forever altered, offered to share their matter manipulation technology, not to impose order, but to explore the balance between chaos and structure. Director Chen stood in her office, watching Jupiter's swirling storms through the viewport. Maya and Aurora had just finished briefing her on the latest developments. "So," she said, "it seems humanity's first steps into the galactic community were a bit more dramatic than anyone expected." "We have a saying," Maya responded, glancing at Aurora's shimmering form. "The best teachers are often students themselves. We showed the luminary how to embrace chaos. They showed us new ways to channel energy. And together we helped the Void Hunters find balance. More than that, Aurora added, their light pulsing in what had become recognizable as excitement. You've shown the galaxy something it desperately needed. That strength comes not from imposing one's nature on others, but from learning to combine different perspectives. As word of the events at Jupiter spread across human space and beyond, the story became more than just a tale of battle and victory. It became a testament to humanity's greatest strengths, not just their ability to think unconventionally or fight against overwhelming odds, but their capacity to change others by being unashamedly themselves. The New Horizon colony, once a simple mining outpost, became the site of the first Galactic Cultural Exchange Center. There, humans taught others the value of adaptability and creative chaos, while learning from their alien friends about new ways of viewing the universe. And whenever new species visited, expressing surprise at humanity's rapid rise in galactic affairs, they were told the story of how a small mining colony's decision to protect refugees led to a transformation that rippled across the stars. It was a reminder that sometimes the greatest changes come not from trying to perfect the universe, but from embracing its wonderful, chaotic complexity. In the end, humanity's first steps into the galactic community had taught everyone involved a vital lesson. True strength lies not in imposing order or embracing chaos, but in finding the wisdom to know when to do each, and the courage to learn from those who are different from ourselves.